Have you ever gone gluten-free but felt no better, or been told it's just a fad? Here's what most doctors won't tell you. Gluten can absolutely sabotage thyroid health, especially if you have Hashimoto's or stubborn symptoms like fatigue and brain fog. If your thyroid's underactive and nothing's shifting, this just might be the missing link. Welcome to Beyond the Prescription. I'm Dr. Ali Grimston, GP, functional medicine doctor, women's health specialist, head of women's health at Dr. Finley's private practice, and I'm also a long COVID and chronic Lyme disease doctor as well. I created this series because far too many women are struggling with symptoms that have real evidence-based solutions and aren't being offered them in standard care. In today's episode, is gluten sabotaging your thyroid? We'll cover why gluten is a known trigger in thyroid autoimmunity, how the gut immune thyroid connection really works, when to test and when to simply try removal, and why gluten-free doesn't always mean healing. By the end, you'll understand if gluten might be affecting your thyroid and exactly what to do next. Stay with me, I've got a free thyroid resource I'll be offering at the end. One of the most common myths I hear is, I tested negative for celiac, so gluten isn't an issue for me. But here's what the science and clinical practice tells us. Even if you don't have celiac disease, gluten can still be a significant immune trigger if you have Hashimoto's or other autoimmune conditions. In fact, around 90% of hypothyroidism in women is autoimmune, meaning your immune system is attacking your thyroid, not just slowing down with age. So how does gluten come in? Gluten contains a protein called gliadin that shares a similar structure to thyroid tissue. In some individuals, this leads to a case of mistaken identity called molecular mimicry. Your immune system thinks it's protecting you, but ends up attacking your own thyroid cells. Have you ever had your thyroid antibodies tested or been told you're fine even with major symptoms? Let me know in the comments. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Your thyroid doesn't exist in isolation. It's part of a triangle, with the other two corners being your gut and your immune system. Think of it like this. 80% of your immune system lives in your gut. The gut lining is meant to act as a barrier, like a tight net. But gluten, stress, and infections, and several other things can loosen these gaps between these cells, leading to leaky gut, also known as intestinal permeability syndrome. That lets immune triggering particles enter the bloodstream and confuse the immune system. Over time, this can fuel or trigger autoimmunity, especially in genetically susceptible women. So even if your thyroid tests look borderline or normal, you could be experiencing immune chaos beneath the surface. Imagine your gut as a nightclub bouncer, keeping out the troublemakers. Gluten weakens the bouncer. Once the wrong people get in, it's chaos, and your thyroid takes the hit. Does this gut immune thyroid link resonate with you? Have you noticed your digestion flares up with your energy dips or mood swings? We often do. I've had Hashimoto's since 2016, and I've been gluten-free since 2016. So what can you do today? So what can you actually do if you suspect gluten might be an issue? Let me break it into 3 parts so you can choose the path that fits you best. Option 1, or A, test for clarity. If you want data, you can ask for or order functional tests such as thyroid peroxidase and thyroglobulin antibodies for Hashimoto's, intestinal permeability markers in a test such as the GI effects test from Genova, gluten reactivity panels or celiac genetic markers. These can provide insight, but they're not always necessary to start. Option B is to trial a 30 to 60 day gluten-free period. Here's the key. If you want to truly know whether your gluten affects you, you need to be 100% off it for at least 4 to 6 weeks. That means no just a little here and there. Even trace amounts can trigger immune responses in sensitive individuals. But remember, being gluten-free doesn't mean switching to ultra-processed gluten-free biscuits or bread. Real healing comes from anti-inflammatory whole food choices. Think sweet potatoes, quinoa, wild rice, leafy greens, healthy fats and clean protein. Option C is to go deeper with gut healing. If gluten was a problem, or even if you've already removed it, you still need to support the gut. Look at SIBO, which is small intestine bacterial overgrowth, other forms of dysbiosis, or candida. Consider gut soothing nutrients like L-glutamine, zinc carnosine, aloe, slippery elm. Add prebiotics, probiotics, and plenty of polyphenol-rich plant foods to restore your microbiome. When you're looking for polyphenol-rich plant foods, think of eating the rainbow. Try and eat the rainbow every day. So you're eating something that's red, something that's orange, something that's yellow, plenty of green, of course, but also something that's purple or black. So aubergines, red onions and purple cabbage have different polyphenols in to these other foods. And finally, don't forget your nervous system. Stress and trauma impact the gut lining and immune balance too. If you're thinking, this is me, type gut check in the comments. I'd love to know what step you're considering: testing, removing gluten, or focusing on gut healing. And just a quick note, if you are testing for celiac disease, you need to be eating gluten regularly, 2 or 3 times a day, for ideally 6 weeks before the test. So if you really want to know whether you're celiac disease, do that test before you do your gluten-free trial. And even if that comes back negative, still do your gluten-free trial. So I hope that you enjoyed this. So if you've got any questions, please pop them in the chat beneath. And if you'd like my free download on thyroid health, then write thyroid in the notes below. I hope you will you'll join us next week when we'll be doing the next episode of Beyond the Prescription, which is episode 16. Bear with me. I'll let you know which it is. Why low thyroid can wreck your sex hormones and vice versa, when we'll be talking about understanding the hormone web between thyroid, estrogen, progesterone and testosterone, how low thyroid slows detox and estrogen clearance, why low progesterone mimics hypothyroid symptoms, DHEA, testosterone and thyroid conversion, and how to rebalance your hormone axis. Look forward to seeing you there.